electronic collection overlap analysis using input file. So in the December 2014 release, we saw how we can perform an overlap analysis between two sets of electronic collections, and we get to see which electronic portfolios, which titles belong to both sets, and this can help us make decisions about whether to acquire a new collection. Will we be gaining any titles? Is there a big overlap between the collections? There's a new method now to do this overlap analysis with an input file. Basically, the input file has a list of identifiers for titles. This could be ISSN or ISBN or LCCN or the title itself. I'll show you in a minute an example of an input file. Titles that are in the input file will be checked for overlap. The overlap will be within your existing inventory. In other words, if a title is in your current inventory in two electronic collections or more, it will be considered overlapping. And if it's only in one set, only in one electronic collection, or it's a standalone portfolio, it will be considered as a unique title. And if the portfolio is not in your inventory at all, then you'll be informed that it's not in your Alma database. You get a report of which titles you don't have in your database at all, which titles you have an overlap in the database, and then potentially you may want to make the decision, for example, not to continue a subscription. If there's a large overlap, you may want to stop subscribe, not renew subscription to one of the collections. So let's take a look in Alma at how this is done. First, I'm just going to show you the input file. It's a very simple Excel file with only one column. On top of the column is the type of identifier. In my case, it's ISSN. And the rest of the rows are just filled in with the IDs themselves. And so here I have example ISSNs of different electronic titles. And I'll run the overlap analysis. Alma will check which of these titles appear in Alma only once, which appear in overlapping between two collections or more, and which of these titles are not found in the database. Without further ado, let's go into Alma menu. Under Resource Management, we have Overlap Analysis. And here we can see reports that we've run previously. And we want to submit a new report. And now we have, this is the new feature in Alma January 2015, Selected Titles. Selected Titles means as our input, we'll be using an input file with a list of titles. And that's exactly the Excel file I showed you before. Next. Now I select the file. So my file is called Philosophy Collections. And we'll see which of the titles in this file are in my Alma database. Next. Okay, report name, you can leave it as it is or give it our own name, description as well. Date coverage, we've seen this in the December 2014 release. Selecting this option will also create, will display the date coverage info of each one of the titles. So right now, since we've already demonstrated this last month, I'm going to make a comparison without date coverage. And okay, so when I've filled in the info, submit. Overlap analysis job was successfully submitted with job ID, etc. And we see that it's initializing. We'll give it a refresh. And completed successfully. View. And now I can see that total runtime was 2 seconds. Status completed successfully. 11 records were processed. So everything went smoothly. And Alma created 3 different reports. We have title overlap report, not in database report, and unique titles report. Not in database report are all of the titles in the input file which do not appear in my Alma database. Let's take a look at this report. Just opening it in Excel. Okay, so ISSN identifiers were in the original input file, and these were not found in Alma. Okay. Another type of report is title overlap report. These are the titles that I have in more than one collection in my Alma database. So these are overlapping, and potentially this can help me decide whether to renew the subscription for one of those collections. Let's take a look at the title overlap report. Open it with Microsoft Excel. And we can see that the Epicurus Journal of Philosophy, Diogenes Journal of Philosophy, and Socrates Journal of Philosophy all appear in more than one collection. These are my overlapping titles. And they appear in both the General Philosophy Journals collection and in the Greek Philosophy Journals collection. So these are my overlapping ones and the IDs of the portfolios. Notice that coverage here is empty because I elected not to display the coverage. But if you select it, then you'll see the coverage dates there as well. And finally, Unique Titles Report. These are the titles that appear only once in my Alma database. So that means either they're standalone portfolios or they are portfolios which belong to only one electronic collection. Let's take a look at this report as well. Unique titles. So these titles are ones that appear only in one collection. In this case, it's the Averroes, Spinoza, Plato, each one in their respective collection. And so this is a very useful way for me to analyze which of these titles are in several collections, and obviously that can help make things more efficient. So that is overlap analysis using an input file.